Hello again. So let's continue with the grammar section. Page number 6, unit number 1. We have the past perfect. Okay. So again, your book has a little explanation about this, and let's look at the information from your book. The sorry. Past perfect statements. Use the past perfect to describe an action that occurred before a specific time in the past. Specific time in the past, okay? Look at the timeline to see the order of the actions. So we have the timeline there. It says the meeting ended at N. We arrived, okay, 12. Form the past perfect with had plus past participle. So taking the timeline, I mean the point to start, it's the meeting ended at N, we arrived at 12. And the sentence says the meeting had ended before we arrived. Okay, so there were two past activities, but one was first than the other. Okay, so the first activity in the past, okay, is in past perfect. Okay, it's like we say in Spanish, el pasado del pasado. Okay, that's why we have two activities there. Two in the timeline, two things happening in the past. Okay, but one happens first at 11, and the other happened at 12. So let's see now here. Past perfect, I had done. Let's look at the example. At 10:30. Paul he's saying goodbye. Half an hour later, so they are saying hello. So you see at 10:30, and this is at 11 or so. So it says Sarah went to a party last week. Paul went to the party too, but they didn't see each other. Paul went home at 10:30, and Sarah arrived at 11. That's something like the example from your book. So when Sarah arrived at the party, Paul wasn't there. He had gone home. He had gone home. Why are they writing this in past? Because he left at 10:30 and she arrived at 11. So again, there are two activities in the past. One happened first and the other occurred right after. Okay? So at 10:30 Paul left, and at 11 Sarah arrived. So he had gone home. He had gone home because it was the first activity in the past. Okay, so had gone is a past perfect, simple. We use all the subjects, the auxiliary had, or we can do contraction here. Okay, I'd gone, he'd seen, and finished with past participle. Okay, so you know what this is. You are with this topic. I mean, you know what we're talking about with the past perfect thing. I mean, with the past participle. Sorry. So I'm gonna read some extra information. It says the past perfect simple is had plus participle, gone, finished, a lot of verbs. And remember that there are regular, irregular verbs. So you are now able to recognize and to see which ones are they, okay? So sometimes we talk about something that happened in the past. Sarah arrived at the party. This is the starting point of the story. Then, if we want to talk about things that happened before this time, we use the past perfect. Okay? So, as I was saying, there were two activities, but if you don't want to focus on Paul, you just start with the Sarah activities and then we forget about Paul because he left earlier, maybe. Poor person. I don't know. Anyway. When Sarah arrived at the party, Paul had already gone home. When Sarah arrived at the party, Paul had already gone home. We can use adverbs here already. You know them. okay, from present perfect tenses. So this is not something new. Okay, more examples here. When we got home last night, we found that somebody had broken into the flat. When we got home last night, so this was the last activity. We found that somebody had broken into the flat. Had broken into the flat. So this is the first activity, and then happened this. Okay. Karen didn't want to come to the cinema with us because she had already seen the film. She had already seen the film. So at certain point in the past, she went to watch the film. Okay, that's what she didn't want to come. Maybe that wasn't a good movie. I don't know. So at first I thought I'd done the right thing, but I soon realized that I'd made a serious mistake. Okay, another example. The man sitting next to me on the plane was nervous. He had flown before. He had never flown before. Okay, so he was nervous. And see what is happening. Now, past, past, now. Okay, present perfect. This is something from present perfect to make it more like in the timeline. So the present perfect, remember that there are things that just happened, okay? And it has a relation with the present. So present perfect, it is relation in the past and the present, so it goes back and again. And the past perfect is just past, okay? Past from the past, el pasado del pasado, what I just said. So there are more activities here. I'm gonna show you in a minute. We're gonna go back to your book. There is activity A and B. Okay, so this is a time you pause the video and start answering this. So take your time, 10-15 minutes, because it's a little longer. So if you want to take a look at irregular verbs, you can go and look for them. And there are a lot of lists that you can find on online. I don't know if your book has a list. I guess this kind of books, they have a list, a regular and irregular list. So if you have questions with regulars and irregular verbs, so look at them. Okay, so pause the video again and take your time to answer, because I'm gonna give you the answers now. Part A, grammar practice. Choose the correct meaning for each statement. It's page number 6. Before they decided to have a meeting in Bangkok, I had already decided to take a vacation there. So the answer is the second one. Number 2, by the time she got to the meeting, she had already reviewed the agenda. So the answer here is the first one. Number 3, they had already asked us to turn off the cell phones when the CEO began her presentation. So the answer here is the first one. Okay, that was exercise A from page number 6. Let's continue with B. It's now 7 p.m. Read Megan's to-do list and complete the statement. So the to-do list is on the cell phone, on the picture on the right. Okay, so look at that. You had to look at that in order to answer. And you have already and yet. Remember that I mentioned that you can use these adverbs as we've been using on present perfect too. So number 1, at 8:30, Meg had already dropped, remember is ed ending, had already dropped off her laundry, but she hadn't yet taken the cat to her mom's. She hadn't yet taken. Number 2, by 10:45, she had already taken the cat to her mom's house, but she hadn't yet packed for the meeting. Number 3, by 12:15, she had already picked up the sales binders and add office solutions, but she hadn't yet had or eaten lunch with Adam. Number 4, At 1:30, she had already had or eaten lunch with Adam, but she hadn't yet returned the DVDs to the Film Pix. Number 5, by 2:15, she had already returned the DVDs to Film Pix, but she hadn't yet seen the dentist. Number 6, at 5:55, she had already seen the dentist, but hadn't yet gotten a manicure. So there are the answers from page number 6. You can go back and forth on the video to listen again, okay? It's not just I'm repeating. So we have a conversation part on page number 7, so you can do that. Take with vocabulary. And we have listening on page 8. I don't have the listening, as I mentioned. If I got the listenings before you see this, you can do it, okay? Or after, any of. So page 9, develop your cultural awareness, frame your ideas. With a partner, no, we don't have partners now. Look at the questions about culture on the notepad. Discuss each question. How do people greet each other when they meet for the first time? So answer the questions and try to make it like culturally thing, okay? How do they greet each other when they already know each other? How are they greeting? So not like in a, well, it can be formal or informal way. We can do both. So check the questions, please, with that. And page 10, we have a reading, okay? There is a reading activity. So you have here vocabulary, you have questions to answers. So take your time to read because I'm going to give you the answers now. So you can pause the video again and I'm going to give you the answers for A. Number 1, in her 80s. Number 2, the present. She says the present is different in a lot of good ways. Number 3, she thinks it's unfortunate that they don't have time to make a proper meal. And number 4, no, she wishes that families still sat down together for meals and the kids didn't eat so many snacks and so much fast food. She implies that children don't follow table etiquette anymore. She thinks boys and girls begin dating too young. She also doesn't like how children and teens call adults by their first names. So those were the answers for the reading activity. And another survey, you have a survey here to discuss how culture changes over time. Okay, table manners, musical tastes, dating customs. So please go and check that out. And to finish, we have to finish unit number 1. We have a review, okay, on page 12. There are listenings, but you can do the question tag, you can do the writing, you can send me the writing just to check the writing, please. So there is the grammar part. So work on the grammar part, B and C, and the writing. You can send me the writing just to check that out, okay? So I'm gonna give the answers for the review on part B and C. Stop or pause the video to give you the answers. So number 1, are you? Number 2, weren't you? Number 3, have they? Number 4, had she? Number 5, can't I? Number 6, will you? Number 7, didn't I? Number 8, won't we? Number 9, weren't they? Number 10, aren't they? Part C, number 1, table manners. Number 2, etiquette. And number 3, punctuality. If you have any question, you can send me a text or an email and I'll be in contact with you. Thank you very much and I will see you next Saturday.